What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another Detroit Lions takeaways video. Now, this one is a little bit different than our instant reaction because I did go back, I did rewatch the game, I did take notes on this game, but it wasn't the all-22 version. We're not going to go through the film like that. We'll have that video maybe this weekend, potentially early next week. That video will be its own separate thing, and I do have some clips that I will showcase in today's video through the broadcast version, just plays that I thought were key plays that stuck out to me. Maybe not diving into as much of the schematic detail, but more so just like, man, look at this guy making just a crucial play, or some key notes that I had that I wanted to talk about in today's video, and also some key plays. Go through that in today's video, and just because I can, because it felt really good. I mean, this was such an easy rewatch, especially the first half being up 27-3. Now the second half, you know, it wasn't perfect at all, but it wasn't terrible either. We still made the plays when we had to. We still sealed the deal when we had to. But just because I can, and because it feels great, I'm gonna do this. Just because, you know, we'll just throw the standings up there. Okay, just because we can. I mean, y'all see us up there at that 3-1. That feels great, by the way. 3-1. Used to talk about the quarters of the season, but then they added the 17th game, so now it's a little bit like, oh, there's really no quarter to the season. But the point is that usually we would talk about the quarters and how well do you do in each quarter. To get out to a 3-1 start in the first quarter of this season is huge, man. What a great start so far to this season for the Lions. You see that point differential? Y'all see that? You'll see that plus 23. Y'all see the two 0-3 teams there at the bottom. Hopefully that continues. I mean, look, they got two winnable games this week. Vikings, I believe, have the Panthers. Bears have the Denver Broncos. So those are two winnable games. But this is about the Lions, so I'm going to get rid of the standings. Actually, maybe we should just leave it up there just because. I kind of just want to leave it up there. We're going to leave it up there for a little bit. We're going to leave it up there for a little bit. To kind of bounce back and forth between some of the key plays that I'll showcase on the screen, and also just some of my instant reactions, just little nuggets that maybe I picked up on that I just want to talk about a little bit here. So we'll start with some of my instant reactions in this game, just how the game kind of played out. First thing, obviously, Daryl Daniels playing fullback was really cool. To see him get signed the day of the game, officially added to the 53-man roster, and step in and play that fullback position for the Lions was great. This was the guy from training camp, okay, and he did take some snaps at fullback in training camp, so we utilized him in that role. And actually, when going back and watching us play Green Bay last season, you saw the impact of having a fullback on the field and how they like to utilize that element of their offense. I think it was very beneficial in this game, just for some of the looks that they wanted to give offensively, some of the lead run plays, the kind of the split looks that they give with their fullback, just to set up a lot of those zone rushing attacks in this game. It was a very versatile rushing offensive day. I mean, we leaned on it early. You can see it by the stat right there. 5 of the first 8 plays were run plays. And the reason I really point it out is because as the game went on, there were times there where it felt like we were running the ball a lot. And we were, especially, you know, when we had the lead. Of course, we were running the football a lot. There was also the goal line situation where after the flag defensively, we ran the ball 4 straight times to punch the thing into the end zone. We did run the ball a lot, but it wasn't like we just did it, you know, when we had a lead. We did that thing right at the beginning of the game. We stuck to the run. We came out after the first drive, second drive, first 2 plays, I believe were run. Like, we stuck to the running game, believing that we had the answers and that we could be effective there. And statistically speaking, I think when you also watched Green Bay, you saw ways that we could be successful here. We had Taylor Decker back in the building. David Montgomery was back. He was massive. He was the player of the game, according to a lot of people in this one. So it made sense that they kind of leaned into that. But I just think it's something that to mention is that it just didn't just happen when they had the lead that they just started running the football. It's a very versatile rushing attack schematically. Also, I noted cover 1 defense early. I thought this was just kind of a little interesting nugget that the Lions came out, played some cover 1 looks. We showed the one play from pregame where Jordan Love's holding on to the football. He ended up scrambling on the play, utilizing his legs, which again, give the Lions credit because he didn't have a lot of success in this game utilizing his legs. He's a good athlete. We've seen it. The ability to use his legs, escape pressure, do it on third down. He's had success with that. Now, there was one specific play that they kind of drew up to attack what we did defensively, which was a pretty good answer on their part. But in terms of like breakdowns and allowing him to get outside the pocket and just run, we didn't really let that happen. So that was another little part I think that needs to be thrown in here. But to come out early, play kind of that man coverage across the board to take away some of those first reads, I thought we tried to mix it a lot of different ways, but that was the key. And one thing that's just been the case with Aaron Glenn is we've seemingly just had the number of the Packers offensively. We've been able to force them to get through multiple progressions offensively. We have not allowed them to consistently get the ball out immediately. And it was actually one play in particular that stood out to me there. It's one of the key plays that I want to showcase, and I'm going to throw it right now. It's a little bit off in terms terms of order, but I want to showcase it. It's Jerry Jacobs with this pass breakup. So you're going to see him matched up, and I can't see the whole field on this play, but I believe this is a Tampa 2 look defensively, which means he'd be dropping in his zone. You can see him sitting outside leverage on Romeo Dubs here, but notice on this play how he sticks with Romeo, right? He doesn't just drop into his zone, allow him to break inside, and potentially complete this pass. There's the other teams in the past that I've seen this, right, where they just kind of give that up, they drop to their zone spot, they have those quick hitters, and that's what the Green Bay Packers offense has done a lot of. But here, for the Lions to say, no, we're going to match that up on the backside, you're going to stick with him and stick in his pocket. By the way, excellent coverage from Jerry Jacobs to get back into the play here, break this up, kind of just undercut this route. But that is one little thing that just stuck out to me, because it kind of spoke to, like, we have to take the first read away. If we can do that, we can trust our defensive line is going to win this battle. And we all saw it. The defensive line won the battle. Outside of me just showing highlights over and over and over, we know the defensive line won this battle. John Kaminsky, Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris, who set the tone early in the game, Romeo Okwara mixed in there, Ali McNeil once again, even Isaiah Buggs. Like, the Lions were getting pressure across the board. Tom on Rasheed Walker on the interior. They were banged up a little bit. John Runyon gave up some pressure. Myers gave up the sack to Isaiah Buggs at the very beginning of that game. Newman in there, who was giving up some pressures as well. So across the board, the Lions were going at everybody, and really the pass rush just got going. And early in the game, we saw the Lions were not bringing extra rushers early. They were playing with their four-man front. They were trying to take away that first read in the passing game, and I think that was the big thing that you have to point to for success, because to be honest, they really set the tone. And actually, when this game started to feel like, oh, maybe Green Bay could start to fight their way back into it, the defense just halted that. But we'll get to that a little bit more in a second. Those are a couple of the early things that stuck out to me. Now, going into, again, some of these key plays, we got to talk about the interception there for Jared Goff. This was a tough interception, and it was a really tough way to start, but I think the most impressive thing is the way they bounced back. You want to talk about this defense just not bending at all, really, just giving up no ground, immediately forcing a field goal attempt for Green Bay after this interception is so crucial. But if you looked at this interception and what happened, they played a cover 3 defensively, and they're actually going to bring an extra rusher. So the safety that rolls down, that's actually going to pick this off, who's playing here in the flat, he is the guy that Jared Goff is looking towards first to try to pull with Jahmyr Gibbs. You're going to see that he drives on it a little bit, but doesn't actually follow through with that route. Goff then looks off it, comes back to the linebacker to try to move him, and then go right over the middle of the field to Amon-Ra St. Brown. The thing that we spoke about coming into this game was, how do you attack their coverage? They play a ton of cover 3. You get behind those linebackers. That's how you can do it. You can get right behind those linebackers like we did to Atlanta, honestly. But here, the safety did not bite on the Jahmyr Gibbs route. By the time Goff came back, there was a little bit of pressure, kind of just floated that thing over the middle, which was fine. It made sense on paper, like, okay, I have the guy moved over here. He's going to take Gibbs. Boom, it's going to open itself up. And this was a 3rd and long situation, which again is still not an ideal spot to get, especially against this secondary. And he jumped in and made a pick. It was a good play by the defense, and they ended up intercepting the pass. But the fact is that we bounced back, and it really started with the defense by stepping up and just getting an immediate stop, getting us off the field. Also, another little thing, speaking of the defense that I noted, just schematically wise, once again, Brian Branch playing at times as the second safety on the field, meaning that there was only really one true safety. We know Brian Branch is a safety slash cornerback, and when he's out there, he'll be considered the safety when Tracy Walker is the only other safety out there. So we understand that, but that's not like a true safety for us. He played in some safety alignments occasionally. One of the big chunks we actually gave up in the second half, he was playing as a safety in a safety alignment when we rolled in and disguised some coverage. But the point is that once again this week, to play 5 guys across the front, we saw the Lions at times allowed Jack Campbell to play on the edge, play that Sam position, but also to take one of our true safeties off like Iffy and put Brian Branch in, who doesn't really ever come off the field outside of, has little injury this past game. He didn't come off the week before at all, and he'll play that little safety role for us. So I think that's another little nugget, is the flexibility that it gives you, not just in terms of, well, he can align to every position, but because you're confident with him being able to do that, it allows you to get a little bit heavier up front and say, look, the focus is we got to stop the run because that's their tendency or that's their package they're in. So you trust that you don't have to have that pure safety out there, and then you don't have to balance up, do we want to take Branch off the field for this guy? So it's an excellent ability that he has to do that. The aspect to that is that he has been an elite run defender. That's my highest grade I gave him coming out of Alabama. I gave him the highest grade as a run defender because that's where I loved his traits, and they have immediately came into the NFL. For example, if you look at the first option play, which I don't think I have saved, he avoids the pin down block from the receiver to get out on the edge, force the option pitch to Cam Sutton to drive down and make the tackle. And there are tons of examples that I could point to where he's sitting halfway between the slot and inside the box, and he drives down and gets involved in tackles. I can just think up top of my head, one time forcing a 3rd and 1 from the slot position, not jumping on the RPO backside, diving down and getting in on a tackle on a cutback run. That's just what he's done. So he's giving you that flexibility. Trust that they have in a young player to a guy that did not really do this. I mean, he had the flexibility to do it, but it's not like he was doing this in training camp. To step into that role, that's an outstanding added piece and element to his game. Really what it was from the defensive side to get us off the field, it was the first 2 plays, Lions go cover 1, they man up in the defensive side of the ball, Aiden Hutchinson gets a sack on the second play after forcing a check down on the first play, and then it's a 3rd and 19 and they're just throwing a screen. But the offense gets back and they immediately respond. They immediately respond to the points, and they got out to a pretty hot start as well. And this is the key play. Of course I had to show this, plus it looked a little bit cooler with the replay here. It's Sam Laporta getting matched up man-to-man with Rasul Douglas here in this inside slot. And here's what sticks out to me. So they're going to go into a cover 1 look. That safety that he's going to look off on this play is going to be rolling down. He's the robber on this play, taking away something in the middle of the field. But watch Jared's eyes. I didn't even see this live. He is looking and holding that safety. That way he can free up and get that man-to-man matchup. Now, give credit to Laporta for getting in front of this route, basically being in a position to make this play, getting off the line of scrimmage against their best cornerback that was healthy, Rasul Douglas, in this game. It was also a really nice throw because it wasn't like he had a ton of space, but it does speak to the trust that they have. This guy has the flexibility, the movement skills to go win off the line against a pure cornerback. Like that's, and it also speaks to Green Bay's attention to him. Like, yeah, we're going to put Rasul Douglas in the slot on your tight end. But look at Goff, watch and hold that safety so he can come back to the middle of the field and pick up this first down. All right, that's just a lot of beautiful stuff right there. That's just a lot of that's a lot of stuff that's good to the eye. And in this game, we were 7 for 17 on 3rd down offensively, which is 41%. Really, the big key you have to look at here is there were a couple examples of us getting into a 3rd and long, which when you get to those 3rd and like forever situations, for example, the sack at the end of the game, where that one was kind of more of a time thing. It was like, dude, just take the sack. Don't just throw it. Just throw it. Like, just take the sack. They were trying to set up a pick play for St. Brown on the drag. He took the sack. Or you look when we run the draw, right? There was like 3 plays like that I can think top of my head where it's just 3rd and forever and you're kind of just like, we're going to set up a field goal, whatever that may be. Maybe we're setting up to go for it on 4th down. But there were a few like that where we just got in a 3rd and long. You think about the sack on a 2nd and 5 from Carl Brooks that pushed us behind the sticks. Then you run the draw, you punt the football. But for the most part, still 41% on 3rd down is not bad. I thought the Lions had a pretty good job for finding answers on 3rd down, finding places to go with it. One of the plays that stuck out to me the most was that after the Sam Laporta drop or the middle of the field, which set us up for a 3rd and 10, again, one of the plays that I really liked from the quarterback position in this game was, again, cover 3. They bring a blitz, so now there's only 3 underneath defenders. That linebacker that they blitzed on the play is leaving that zone hole that usually would be taken by that linebacker. And Goff's recognition to see that, throw basically into the blitz, quickly hit St. Brown, pick up the first down. Like, that was another really crucial pickup. They were pretty good on 3rd down offensively. If you take out and you really look at, like, some of them were just, they were in a really bad position to not really have much of a chance to actually convert there because of a couple of negative plays. They did a pretty nice job converting on 3rd down at 41%. That's not terrible. I'm not mad at that. Definitely better than last week. I think we were like 4 of 14 on last week. So definitely better than last week. So a play that I have to point out, how about Josh Reynolds? I mean, we can point out multiple plays here. Josh Reynolds made a great grab late in the game on a little, the rollout. You know, they kind of went to a cover 6. We had him on a safety. Excellent grab. But also this one-on-one here, I don't even know if I'm showing the clip, but to get Valentine, who's a rookie corner out of Kentucky, and you look at this defense, right? It's pretty impressive the way that they're able to kind of hold things together in the back end, having no Jair Alexander. Like, you're talking about a rookie is essentially their number 2 corner, and this isn't bad coverage. But what a catch by Josh Reynolds, man. He just showed up in this game. I wish he would have gotten out of his break and scored that touchdown, because actually that was the one time we got stopped in the red zone, but we had to take a field goal, was because Josh Reynolds stumbled out of his break on the out route and the pass fell incomplete. I would have loved to see him stay on his feet and catch that, because that would have meant I would have hit all of my over-unders, and that was the biggest odds one. This year's sponsor for the football season. I'm very excited about this, and I really appreciate this opportunity. We have partnered with BetUS, man, and BetUS is a leading online betting platform that offers a wide range of sports betting and casino games. Now, BetUS has a reputation for the reliability, their security, and their excellent customer service. After signing up with BetUS using that link, I had BetUS reach out to me for not wanting to miss out on certain deals that they had going on. And it's very easy to sign up. So all you have to do is click the top link in the description. They're hooking you up with some nice bonuses. So if you click that link, top of the description, you can claim some nice bonuses. All you have to do is sign up. It's like 2 pages, very easy to sign up. Then you can claim your bonus. You can see there's multiple different bonus options. You make your deposit, and if you make a minimum $100 deposit, you can get a 125% match on that deposit. So they're hooking you up. BetUS has a lot of different ways to bet. So it's not just football. I mean, they hit on all the major sports: football, basketball, baseball, soccer. I mean, hey, if you're into soccer, there you go. Heck, they got esports on here, man. There's tons of different ways to do it, whether that's, game props, pre-game betting, whether that's over-unders, whether that's future bets, live betting as well, including parlays, so you can build out your ticket and do things that way. If you're a returning member, there are 5 currently re-up promotions. There are 6 listed currently sign-up promotions. Through BetUS, you become a loyal member to BetUS, and this leads to other perks, including free payouts, free monthly tournament entries, bigger bonuses. Shout out to BetUS. But I will tell you, Josh Reynolds played a heck of a game, and he showed up again, man. He is just super reliable. When you think of a game like last week against Atlanta, a lot of A.J. Terrell on Josh Reynolds. And a lot of times we almost kind of use Reynolds as like, yeah, you're not going to get the football, but you're going to take that guy out of the play. And if he wants to be involved, he's going to have to kick into the slot and match up with somebody else. We took a look at that. So he was almost a distraction last game. Like, we're going to get other players the ball. He's going to be a really good corner that we're not going to really test, but we can allow that to kind of pull other things away from it and just kind of take him out of the game and trust that we're going to win everywhere else. And I think that sometimes gets overlooked when you talk about the variety of weapons you have. A lot of times you're thinking, I got to get everybody the football in the same game. But it's also like, yes, that sounds great on paper, but if the odds are better because I have a number 3 weapon, say that's, I don't know, Sam Laporta, that's my number 3 weapon, or Khalif Raymond, because, I mean, dude, we got weapons across the board now that can attack different levels. If that's your number 3 weapon and you have a really good matchup there, lean on that. Maybe it's Khalif Raymond's week. Maybe it's Sam Laporta's week, which has kind of been consistently. Maybe it's Jahmyr Gibbs like it was early in the year, but to have that ability, I think is something that gets overlooked. Is maybe that's not appreciated, but I think it's something that we have. We may not have the dominant number 1 pure outside receiver. I don't think we do. St. Brown, though, he has landed on the outside and won, so I got to give him his flowers. I'm not disrespecting that man. He's a savage. But the point is, we don't have that pure outside big DK Metcalf, but we have a lot of options, a lot of really viable options, and I think that allows us to kind of pick and choose our spots. So power run, really the only reason I'm showcasing this is because the linebacker was late on the play, and it was just something that stuck out to me a little bit when watching coming into this game, is that Lions can have success. I talked about the versatility rushing the football. You had a lot of sweep plays, Jahmyr Gibbs, Dave Montgomery, some counter action the Lions did in there. They utilized a lot of their jet motion to lead block with tight ends, so you had a lot of variety of looks, but I point this out because coming into it, you saw Isaiah McDuffie at times seemingly was late to get to some of these wide rushing plays where teams were consistently attacking them these last few weeks. I'll say every run was successful, right? They have really good players in defensive front. Slayton was making some plays. Kenny Clark's always a problem up front. So there were different guys, Kingsley at times, that were getting into the backfield, maybe forcing a tackle for loss, but there was also a lot of effectiveness and a lot of variety for what the Lions were able to do, which some teams are kind of like, we do one thing, rushing the football. Lions got very creative and are able to adapt week to week, and shout out to Taylor Decker for being back because he helps us do that. We got into the second half, right? This is where things seemingly, it felt like it was kind of like, oh man, we're kind of letting up a little bit, but it was really just a couple key plays that stuck out to me here. First one, we're going to talk on the defensive side of the ball because they came out, they moved the football pretty well, and this is what I was talking about. You could see Brian Branch aligned at the safety, and this is just a Tampa 2 look defensively. Aleem's got some pressure. I give Jordan Love some credit here because on this touchdown drive, there was pressure in his face. The 4th and 9 conversion, ton of pressure in his face. We brought a blitz, but he stood in there and he got the ball off, so give him some credit for that. But here, like, that's the way that you attack this defense. You got 2 deep safeties, you got the middle field, you pull everybody with him, and you come underneath with it. So that was just a good schematic answer, the little dagger concept to the Tampa 2 defensively. But it was really only these few key plays, right? Because as much as like it felt like they were really moving the football and maybe getting something going, we made the key plays as well to stop them, but it was really just a couple key plays from them offensively, I thought, in this game. The other one was the 4th and 9. In watching it live, I wasn't sure who it was. I was like, man, was that on Iffy? I think watching it back from the angle I was able to see, I'll be able to tell better with the All-22. I'm not even going to say it was on Iffy necessarily. I think it was just kind of a beater to the coverage because one thing the Lions tweaked a little bit in the second half, and you could argue maybe this wasn't the best decision, decision, especially on pass downs, was they started to bring some heat, try to get in the face of Jordan Love, maybe just mix up the look that they were getting offensively. And here they brought the blitz. You lose one of your underneath defenders in a cover 3 look, so now you only have 3 underneath. If he comes down to play that underneath route, they're rolling this coverage as well. So Tracy's got to go from, the right side of the field and roll to the middle field to close it up, and then they run the dig route right behind him. So I don't think that's a fault of anyone necessarily. It's just a coverage beater. He stands in, delivers it with pressure right in his face. I give him credit for that. That was just a beater on that play. And then also the touchdown. You come right back to it. So we stuffed the run. Great job run defense. And then they score a touchdown, which just no switch between Iffy and Jerry. And it looked a little bit like, Iffy was kind of fired up. Like, man, we were supposed to switch that. Like he felt like, Jerry was supposed to know that they were going to switch on that play. I don't know who's necessarily on. But the point is, they didn't switch on that route, and you give up a touchdown. We've seen that. And then the 2-point conversion. This one was a little bit trickier because the route that they ran, right, they're running out routes, and he breaks back upfield, kind of like a broken play. That's tough to kind of deal with. But again, if he drives down to take away the leverage that's happening in the out route in front of him, which makes sense, someone else takes it, okay, I'm going to drive down, take that away. But then behind him, they break it off, and it's almost as if he would expected there, Tracy's going to pick that thing up, and I can drive down and take the easy pass away. But credit to them doing something kind of cool off schedule with their receiver, breaking back to the end zone, catching a touchdown. The offensive side of the ball, again, it's always just usually a couple key plays, and the ones that stuck out to me that were the key plays offensively and why it stopped, you had a cover 1 look defensively, so we talked about this a little bit earlier. They brought the blitz on the play, so Jared Goff immediately gets it out. He immediately gets it out, little sidearm throw, hits Jahmyr Gibbs in the flat. He's behind the line of scrimmage, and it's essentially just you on an island. Now, he didn't have a great opportunity to really set up a move here, but also give credit, Quay Walker makes it open field tackle on Jahmyr Gibbs. It's fine to get the ball out to him quickly. That would make sense. Like, get it to him. We trust that he's going to make somebody miss. He did not on the play. Again, it would have been a tough spot to do so, but also Quay Walker's a great athlete. He made a really good play there. So again, you lose, you get behind the sticks a little bit, and that makes it tough to pick up a first down when you fall behind the chains like that early in the possession, because then you come back, you just throw a drag route, and you take a punt because it's 3rd and 12. That's just not an ideal spot to be in. And when you have a lead like we did, it's not worth stepping in there and saying, man, we got to get to 15 yards here, because then what? I mean, their defense is playing well. Are you gonna risk something, risk a tip, risk a fumble, and then they got great field position? You can't do that, right? You can't take that kind of risk. But the bounce back was key. And this is, again, one of those key plays. So we talk about the variety offensively and weapons. How about on a 3rd and 2 here, right? He wasn't eating all game, but this is clutch, all right? This is an excellent catch on his shoulder. The 3rd and 2, another cover 3 look, right? You get him matched up with kind of the stack, which we saw a little bit in this game. A lot of the condensed splits, again, as well in this game. But you get him matched up with Quay Walker. And it took all of his speed because Walker can run. He is a fantastic athlete for a linebacker. He is like today's linebacker athletically. But for him to just blaze by this guy, make an excellent catch from Goff and pick up that first down. That is a clutch first down. Now, we didn't go down and score on this possession, I believe. I think we still punted, but it still moved the chains. It still set up better field position for us defensively. That is a crucial pickup, and I think that's a play that, you look to the variety, finding another weapon to win. That was an example of them finding that weapon, him in the slot, which, again, having Dave Montgomery can give you that flexibility to do that because he'll sit in and pass protect. Now I can move Jahmyr Gibbs to the slot. Just a couple other key plays that I wanted to showcase, just some good here to be honest with you. Here's an outside zone look. Look at Graham Glasgow with the quickness on the backside to seal. I thought that was just, again, it wasn't perfect. Jonah Jackson had some miss. Graham Glasgow had some miss. Penny Sewell had some miss. Frank had, a little bit of penetration that he gave up in this game. Taylor Decker gave up some pressure to Rashawn Gary in this game a couple of times. So it wasn't like it was perfect, but there was also a lot of good. You got to give them credit for when they wanted to run the ball because they knew they were trying to run out the clock, they were able to do it. Simple as that. They were able to run the clock out when they wanted to, right? The defense knew they were going to run the football, and they essentially could not stop it. But I don't think that necessarily the aggressiveness went away. It was still a 2nd and 5, and you tried to set up a shot play. You just took a sack. And if you looked at the sack that Goff took on that 2nd and 5, which was key, and it was in the 3rd quarter, it was pressure off the right side. When Jonah Jackson tries to sell the pull, he gives up pressure, so now Goff has to slide away from that. All of a sudden, he doesn't see Carl Brooks coming around the offensive line and getting right in his face immediately and sacking him. That's not a lack of aggression. He was still trying to hit the shot. You pick up 5 yards, let's get aggressive on 2nd down again. So to me, it wasn't like we pulled back. It was just that, hey, you took a sack. Like, it's just not an ideal time, but you took a sack trying to take a shot, and it just happened. It's not like he pulled back and said, we're running it every play. No, you still try to set up off of what you were doing. And speaking of setting up off what you're doing, how about the outside zone fake, and then you kind of delay the out route on the backside against that off coverage. You have the cadet split, you have him tight to the line of scrimmage, and the cornerback plays off, and you just kind of walk him up into this out route. This is just a cool example. I know it's kind of random, but I wanted to show. They just so happen to get a sack there, and once you're backed up like that, again, didn't make sense to really risk anything crazy. But even saying that, it looked like on 3rd and 18 they were going to try to convert a first down until the false start. There still was a couple things like that. We had a couple of offensive line penalties. We had a holding. We had a false start in this game. We had an offsides on the 3rd and 4, which the defense ultimately still got off the field. But, you know, just a couple little things there. The run play I want to show is this lead run. Look at Penei Sewell. This is nasty. This is a wild block to me. I mean, this man is absolutely just driving his defender back on the play. About the versatility in the run game on a 3rd and 9 to go to that trap look, set up a 4th and 3, which I thought was a fine play call because it's something we've seen a ton. I mean, at some point, that's just what they do. When they get a certain look up front, they run the trap. They do not throw it on 3rd and 9. Part of that, I think, if they get close enough, they're just going to go for it, and we've seen that. So we can come to expect certain things. And that play was blocked up pretty well. I thought there was a chance there to hit a first. We did not. We set up for a field goal 4th and 3, and obviously, you know, they touched the offensive lineman jumping over the offensive line. I guess that's the rule. You can't touch jumping over. I guess that's the rule. He did, so we get the automatic first down. Lions went 4 straight runs to punch it in. 4 straight runs, not playing around. As I said, first play was a duo play, came back with a split zone, which I believe was a tackle for loss, came back with an inside zone, and then they punched it in with David Montgomery, just taking Quay Walker head on, with Penei Sewell getting a little bit of movement on Quay Walker there, pushing him back a little bit. I mean, it was just simple as that. Like, they just were not going to play around. We're going to run the ball 4 straight times and punch this thing in. They stuck to their gut. They stuck to their game plan. They stuck to what they wanted to do coming into the game. They were not bad in the red zone. The one stop that they had in the red zone was trying to throw the football. Jahmyr Gibbs, they ended up kind of checking it down with some pressure, and it was incomplete, just kind of throwing it down to Gibbs. Then they were backed up because there was a hold, and then, of course, they tried to come back to Marvin in a 3rd and goal situation from long. But when they stuck to it and just ran the football, we saw Dave Montgomery 3 rushing touchdowns. They stuck to their plan and it worked. Finally, at the end of the game, just a couple of quick notes. Lions backed off in coverage. They sat in quarters, looked defensively, but I will say that last interception is something I do need to point out, okay, because we had 2 looks here. So you go back to the Green Bay side of things. How they scored the first time was pretty well done. They had the 2-point conversion, but it was really just some breakdowns in a sense too on our part. But then they score again, and here's where I give them some real credit. We come out there, and the first one was a Will Harris shot play that we gave up, who did not have safety help because the Lions were doing what they do a lot, which is where the linebacker in that inside slot on the 3 receiver side passed it to the safety. So because the slot goes vertical, runs this post route, Tracy Walker is taken out of the play. So now Will Harris has no slot help. He's one-on-one with Reed, and he got beat over top by about a step on that play when Brian Branch was out. So that was their big chunk play that shouldn't have happened because of the clock hit 0. But then to score the touchdown, this is where I give them credit. They came out in the same look. They went empty, and the way the Lions have combated that 3-by-2 receiver look when they go empty offensively is the Lions, again, play that same look. They put their linebacker in the slot, safety sits over top. If he goes vertical, you know, the linebacker will pass to safety. If not, linebacker could stick with it, right? And then they have to communicate underneath for leverage. Hey, if that guy sits underneath and the inside slot goes vertical, the guy sits underneath, that slot corner now needs to drop up because he's got to take away the corner's leverage, like the corner route leverage. So it's the same look they consistently would give in these spots. But here, what the Lions did is Aiden Hutchinson dropped out. Alex Anzalone was matched up in the slot one-on-one with Romeo Doubs. And even though they had the safety on the play and dropped Aiden Hutchinson out on the play to kind of take away the inside there for Anzalone on Romeo Doubs, I think a big part of that is them knowing that that's kind of their go-to guy, especially maybe in those situations. And at the same time, that's not an ideal matchup. Atlanta didn't attack it last week. We showed plays where Alex Anzalone was one-on-one in the slot with Kyle Pitts, and they didn't even attack it. They may have assumed they were going to try to attack that look. So they drop out Hutchinson to sit inside, try to bracket that in, take it away. Although the issue came back to when you drop him out pre-snap, now you only have a 3-man rush, and it was a good adjustment on the fly. Credit to them. They've seen this look a lot. We gave it to him last year, and now with Love, who's more athletic, I would say maybe than Rodgers in terms of mobility, they said, you know what, just run or draw. Just take up off the gut, and he scored a touchdown. It was a good job by them. And really on both sides, it was kind of in my game plan coming into the game as well, as I expected the Lions drop a lot of guys into coverage, take away those first, second reads, and then hopefully your defensive line wins. And with these empty looks, had them the last couple of weeks. One thing the Lions have done, we've seen it on second down, we saw it against Seattle, they dropped everybody but 2. They may have gotten just a little bit too cute here, and Green Bay was a step ahead saying, hey, if this is what they're going to do, we're going to take off on it because they can't fill the 2 gaps essentially on these rush lanes with only 3 defenders. So I give them a lot of credit there. But the key is that the 2-point conversion that we shut down, from making a 1-score to 2-score and changing the whole outlook of the game and how each team could play it, it was a stop from Jack Campbell being first, getting outside leverage, taking away the back, and John Kaminsky getting on top of the offensive guard and making the play on the quarterback a yard short. Okay, both JCs coming through to make that was the key play. We gave them the touchdown, good for them. They had one big shot play, and then defensively they took advantage of the look we gave them. It's always that chess match, it's that battle between teams. You're trying to get creative, move Hutchinson around, you decide to drop him out. They gave it maybe just a little bit too early, and Jordan Love just said take off with it, and he scored. But you made the 2-point stop, which was the crucial stop there. But then defensively, the last play that I want to show is this one. This was the interception by Jerry Jacobs, and it's a similar look. Difference here is they don't go 3-by-2, they don't go empty, they go 3-by-1 with a running back in the backfield. Notice what's happening on this play. On the right side, first off, coverage, well done. Okay, Love is not running a draw on this play. Coverage, well done. You got Will Harris in that outside slot. Watch him drop in to take away that corner route because of the leverage of the play. So Will Harris plays this really well. On the backside, Jerry Jacobs is going to stick with his route. They try to break it off late. Jerry Jacobs is still there. He picks it off with the safety help towards the inside. So you had a similar look. The only difference was they didn't go empty, and Jerry Jacobs sealed the deal with an interception. But they were playing quarters. They were playing cover for that whole possession, essentially, just trying to keep everything in front, which for the most part they did. They really didn't give up any chunk plays outside of the big one for Jerry Jacobs, which was contested really well. The receiver just pulled it down like miraculously, and that was really the only big chunk play that they gave up. So they were clearly backing off in coverage. They just gave up that one chunk play. But those are some of the key moments that really stuck out to me. The point is, they stuck to their guns running the football. They came through clutch defensively. There were multiple situations in which they did that. To start the game, they came out on fire. Interception like that. And then offensively in the second half, when we had a 3-and-out, they came back and immediately forced a 3-and-out. And one of the tweaks that they made defensively was they started to blitz in the second half, as we talked about. Now, we only talked about how it was bad, but it was also good. What they started to was that safety that they were consistently rolling down in those cover 3 looks early in the first half, they started to bring that safety off the edge. And that's the reason the backwards pass happened. And it was essentially a fumble for a loss of 11, which basically shut down their drive, and they had a punt. We got an immediate 3-and-out. Bringing him in zone, they rushed him off the edge. And when they rushed him off the edge, the pressure was immediately in Love's face. He just had to throw it out to the flat. It was behind, and because of that, it was a loss of 11 on first down. So it was one of the little tweaks the Lions made. They got more aggressive in the second half. Not to say everything was a blitz. Sometimes they would rush it and drop out on the opposite side. We saw a lot of dropping players into coverage in this game. But the point is, that was one tweak we did see in the second half. They started to bring that safety. Tracy did it a little bit later. They started to bring that safety that they were rolling down on a blitz, and that was an example of it working really well. So it's those little adjustments that could get overlooked that I think needs to get some credit, because that is a massive stop. For you to go 3 down to second half, right, where they're only down 16, your defense to get you the ball immediately back because of negative 11-yard play on first down, which was a tweak from something that they didn't really do in the first half to the second half. That is something that I think needs to be brought up. That's a key moment in this game. So I think a lot of good to go around. Obviously, they're 3-1, so there is a lot of good to go around. And we'll get more into the stuff with the All-22. But again, pretty good on third down. Run defense was really good once again. We attacked their run defense, which was clearly a plan coming in, and they stuck to it throughout the game. There were some ups, there were some downs. Not as many bad flags. Alex Anzalone one, but some of them were just not good calls, to be honest with you, like that one or the PI, but really not as many like shooting yourself in the foot. The false start, the holding, those are tough, but it really wasn't that bad. The 3rd and 4 offsides, I know you don't love that. We got the stop immediately, so we didn't really feel it. That's not a great one, but the point is, it really wasn't a lot of bad plays like that. There was a few, but not a ton of them. We had not the best punt in there. We had a flag on a punt return from Jalen Maben. So credit to the players, because they didn't really let those things show through, because then they just came out and made a play. So with that being said, man, those are some of my instant or immediate reactions to this game with my first rewatch. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Of course, I got to give a shout out to our partner for this football season, BetUS. I put that little ad in here during the video. I didn't show the game props, but that is something that we are doing each week, as I'm posting my game props that I like for the matchup. This past week, we hit 2 out of the 3. I really think we could have some success with some of those game props. And if you want to check them out, just click that link, man. Go to the BetUS website. You don't have to deposit immediately. You can just create an account. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to, they have that 125% match if you deposit at least $100. You can just create an account, check it out, just see what it looks like. But I think we could have some real success with the way that we be looking and breaking into these games. I don't know. We may have found a nice little like niche of success here. So definitely go check that out. I'm out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.